My roommate bought a pair of incredibly realistic bare leg tights. Their texture was exactly like real human skin. After he posted a review video online, someone commented, "Don't wear those. They're made from living human skin." My roommate dismissed it, but then one day, he suddenly told me he'd had a nightmare. In the dream, someone said, "You always wear me, now let me wear your skin." My roommate, Zumeng, is a review blogger, and yesterday, he gained some traction with a pair of ultra-realistic bare leg tights. They really don't wrinkle and don't look artificially pale. Indeed, they look just like real legs. Because these bare leg tights were so incredibly realistic, the video even went viral. I put my arm around Zumeng, watching the comments steadily increase, and we both leaned back on the sofa, grinning broadly. "Meng Meng, you're going to be famous." However, before we could celebrate for long, a comment was pushed to the very top. "The blogger is just seeking traffic. Bare leg tights can't be this realistic. He's actually showing his real legs." Seeing more and more people agreeing below, Zumeng grew anxious. Just as he was about to reply, another new comment was liked and rose in the comments section. "They are bare leg tights, and they're made from human skin." Liked by 1,407 users. The comments below were filled with terrified messages. "Is that true? No wonder they look so realistic. That's terrifying. I wouldn't dare buy them. Unfollow the blogger." Zumeng looked at the comments, fumbled for words for a while, and finally, out of anger, he laughed. "I'm speechless." "Nini!" I quickly handed him a bottle of soda and tried to calm him down. "Calm down, Meng Meng. Not everyone is foolish." Zumeng gulped down his drink, utterly furious. "Made from human skin. They might as well just flay me and use my skin for bare leg tights." He finished speaking. He rolled up his sleeves and rushed back to the bedroom, preparing to shoot a video to prove his innocence. I, on the other hand, picked up my phone and opened that person's account, intending to communicate. "Hello, I can confirm that these bare leg tights are not made of human skin. Skin peeled off a deceased person cannot be as flexible and possess fibrous textures like fabric." The other party's username was Master Fang, and their avatar was a no smoking sign. A few seconds later, he replied, "Of course, it's not dead human skin, but it's made from living human skin. Absolutely do not wear them, and delete the video as well, lest you harm others." After he said this, I seemed to understand something. Aha, a competitor saw the video go viral and got jealous, trying to scare us into deleting it. Just as I was about to say something, Zumeng suddenly darted out of the bedroom. "Nini, that person deleted the comment." I quickly opened the comment section and, sure enough, saw that the unsettling comment was gone. Many netizens even left comments explaining that it's completely impossible for bare leg tights to be made of human skin. This is too absurd. No way do people actually believe it's made of human skin. The people who added celebrity QQs when they were kids have grown up. Hilarious, advising deletion, because I really did add celebrity QQs when I was a kid. This time, the user named Master Fang never replied to the comments again. He just quietly sent me a message. "Here's my contact information. Something will definitely happen in 3 days." I found him somewhat irrational, but seeing his certainty still made me a little uneasy. "Nini, I need to strike while the iron is hot. Come help me quickly." As I hesitated, Zumeng excitedly touched up her makeup and waved at me. I quickly turned off the screen and got up to adjust the lighting for him. How realistic are the legendary bare leg tights supposedly made of human skin? At midnight, we both posted another video overnight, riding the wave of traffic. The hype indeed soared, and we gained 50,000 0 followers overnight. For 3 consecutive days, Zhu Meng filmed videos every day wearing those bare leg tights, and the performance data for each video was unbelievably good. Nini, we're going to make a lot of money. Zhu Meng was incredibly excited every day, and I was genuinely happy for him. Yet I couldn't help but occasionally recall the message sent by Master Feng. 3 days later, something was bound to happen. But what could possibly go wrong with a pair of bare leg stockings? A murder mystery involving flesh-toned thermal leggings. The idea seemed utterly absurd. Zhu Meng remained quite unfazed by the matter, convinced that the message was merely a competitor's mischief. It wasn't until the morning of the 4th day that Zhu Meng and I went out to film a video. Meng, I asked, did you really leave the house with bare legs today? I quickly tended to his wound, but Zhu Meng offered no reply. Looking up, I saw his face was ashen, his pupils trembling with fright. Nini, he confessed, I had a nightmare at midnight yesterday, which I didn't tell you about. Was that not precisely the beginning of the 3 days later period the master had mentioned? He squatted down, stammering as he touched his pants. In the dream, he recounted, someone said, usually, you wear me, now let me wear your skin. Startled, we abandoned the video shoot and quickly returned home. However, neither Zhu Meng nor I believed in supernatural phenomena. After seeing that comment a few days prior, we likely experienced some psychological suggestion, compounded by the exhaustive work and significant mental and physical stress of the past few days, which led to the nightmare. As for the red liquid seeping from the bare leg stockings, yes, the merchant explained, our material is quite special. It might release some color. Over the phone, the merchant politely offered an explanation. Look around, the merchant suggested, to see if there's any red liquid nearby. Following the merchant's lead, I successfully located a faded red sock in the washing machine. It was truly incredible. This incident alone could provide material for several episodes of Approach to Science. Upon seeing the red sock, Zhu Meng finally felt relieved. He asked me to put the phone on speaker, and we discussed potential future collaborations. Due to the viral success of Zhu Meng's video, countless netizens were now eager to purchase these bare leg stockings. However, the manufacturer's inventory was extremely limited, quickly selling out after only a few items. It wasn't that they didn't want to produce more. It was simply due to limited raw materials. Zhu Meng grew quite anxious. If he couldn't secure the partnership for the bare leg stockings, his path to online monetization might end almost as soon as it began. Boss, this is a great opportunity for both of us. Could you perhaps expedite production? The boss on the other end of the line sighed. Well, there's only so much raw material for these bare leg artifacts. Noticing the atmosphere had grown tense, I quickly cracked a joke to lighten the mood. Boss, with such a good opportunity, we'd have to rush it even if it were made of human skin. Zhu Meng and I burst into laughter. However, no laughter came from the other end of the line. It was absolute silence. So, as we continued laughing, Zhu Meng and I soon found ourselves unable to smile. Boss. Beyond the awkwardness, I felt a persistent chill down my spine. Was that joke not funny? It felt as if I might have actually guessed something correctly. After a long silence on the other end of the phone, the boss finally spoke up. I'll handle the raw materials. It really was made that way. For dinner, we prepared a hot pot at home. My little assistant Nini, let's celebrate the birth of a major internet celebrity. We raised our glasses to celebrate, drank beer, and chatted until our eyes welled up with tears. My name is Wu Nini. Zhu Meng and I are college friends. After graduation, she became a blogger, and I became her assistant. After 2 years of working hard together, We've finally made a breakthrough. By past 11 o'clock, we were both a little blurry-eyed from drinking. Zhu Meng staggered to the bedroom door and suddenly gave me an instruction. "Ninny, please wash those bare leg artifacts for me. I won't wear them anymore, they're too eerie." Still a bit dazed, I gave an okay sign. Wavering, I clicked on the washing instructions on the shopping page. I had never looked at them before, and only after contacting the vendor today did I realize there were specific care instructions. Gently hand wash, using shower gel and a bath poof to create lather. After washing, pat dry, gently apply body lotion, and maintain a temperature of around 37 degrees Celsius to keep the skin moisturized and prevent cracking. Why are there so many steps? This process is as elaborate as me taking a bath. Muttering to myself, I found the basin and then began searching everywhere for the bare leg artifacts. But no matter how I searched, I couldn't find them. Oh, right, Zhu Meng must still be wearing them. A thought suddenly struck me, and I started looking for Zhu Meng. "Meng Meng," I called out, dimly recalling that the last time I saw her was at her bedroom door. So I knocked on the door, twisted the handle, and walked inside. The room was pitch black. A faint slit of light peeking from the curtain's edge barely illuminated the space. In the dusty room, 2 white legs faced the window, striking and bright as if highlighted. "Meng Meng," I asked, "where are your bare leg tights?" On Zhu Meng's bed, a faint silhouette was visible. Someone lay on their side, head covered, dressed in a long, thick trench coat, with soft, pale legs clad in high leather boots. Why didn't she take off her shoes before sleeping? I wondered. I sat beside her, resting her legs on my lap, carefully removing her tall boots, and in passing, gave one of those pale legs a tug. The touch was cool and smooth. She wasn't wearing bare leg tights. It was clearly the feel of human skin. Yet, ever since that touch, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The room was utterly dark, and a chilling draft seemed to sweep across the back of my neck. The long boots were fully removed, and I held the leg by the ankle, gazing at the unnaturally smooth foot. Wait, I thought, why does this foot have no toes? My mind buzzed, and I stiffly, slowly, turned my head. In the darkness, I saw half of a horizontally severed torso slowly rise from within the thick trench coat on the bed. It resembled a hollow, stout human skin, its middle section completely empty. Paralyzed with fear, I stood rooted to the spot, as exceedingly faint, rustling sounds reached my ears. Frizzy, dark, curly hair began to emerge from the hollow waist. The sounds grew denser, the hair emerged faster, and its strands shifted from black to streaked gray, then to pure gray, until a wrinkled human face burrowed out from the skin of the waist. It was an aged, androgynous face. It gently hooked the leg resting on my lap and inquired in an extremely high-pitched voice. "Are this old servant's legs not beautiful?" it asked. "What a disgusting thing!" I shrieked. With a horrific scream, my scalp tingling, I sprang from the bed and fled. However, Zhu Meng's room was cluttered with too many things. I hadn't run 2 steps before tripping and falling to the floor. Under the faint moonlight, I watched as the monster, with its face and hair growing from its waist, slowly stood up. They were truly a pair of beautiful, radiant legs, if not for that terrifying old face. I scrambled to my feet, stumbled, pushed open the door, and ran outside. I had barely run 2 steps when I saw Zhu Meng emerge from the restroom. Strangely, she was naked, wearing no clothes and no shoes. Meng Meng, you, in your room." With a catch in my voice, I grabbed her, wanting to run away with her. Zhu Meng remained motionless, a faint light illuminating her beautiful, serene face. I was terrified, and before I knew it, snot and tears streamed down my face. Meng, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you wearing any clothes? Zhu Meng smiled faintly, pointing to her smooth skin, and slowly opened her mouth. Yet a strangely genderless, extremely high-pitched voice emerged. This is the old servant's attire. With a ripping sound, a slit appeared on Zhu Meng's skin, and through the opening, an entire old human skin crawled out from within. After a sharp scream, I awoke from the nightmare. Clutching my pillow, I was covered in a cold sweat. A scream. What's wrong, Ninny? Did you have a nightmare? Zhu Meng looked somewhat surprised, sitting by my bed wearing her flesh-colored tights. Meng, didn't you say yesterday that you'd never wear these flesh-colored tights again? Hearing my words, she seemed somewhat bewildered. Did I? She took my hand, looking at me eagerly. Ninny, we've only just managed to become popular. We must seize this wave of traffic. Zhu Meng pulled a bag from behind her and handed it to me. Let's wear them together, make a video together. Your legs look good too. It will definitely help them sell better. Shaking with fear, I quickly told her all about the nightmare, urging her to stop wearing the flesh-colored tights and to stop selling them. Wu Ninny, I've waited 5 years for this opportunity. What exactly do you mean? I quickly explained, holding her hand tightly. Zhu Meng was furious and utterly distraught, wondering why I was urging her to give up. Was it just because of that ridiculous nightmare? Distraught, she paced wildly. An old servant, have these flesh-colored tights turned into a eunuch? I was somewhat at a loss, watching Zhu Meng rage, throwing things around. Her movements were so wild that her sweater rode up, revealing the skin around her waist. I looked at Zhu Meng's exposed waist, first widening my eyes, and then staring even wider. On her pale lower back was a tuft of long, grayish-white hair. Slowly, a wrinkled old face, like skin, began to emerge from beneath the clothing, creeping up over the concealed flesh. The grotesque and repulsive face bore a smile of comfortable satisfaction, its expression one of pure enjoyment. That androgynous old face greedily inhaled on her back, seemingly savoring the scent of Zhu Meng's skin. Goosebumps erupted all over me, and a chilling thought began to form in my mind. What if everything that happened last night wasn't a dream? I could no longer concern myself with such thoughts. Hello, Master, please save us. On the other end of the line, a young female voice chuckled. Didn't I tell you already? It's made from living human skin. I was beyond tears, trembling with sheer terror. I thought you meant a living person's skin. How was I to know you meant a living human skin? I arranged to meet this Master Feng at a nearby park. What? I have to move back? I cried out in surprise, looking incredulously at the woman smoking beside me. Of course, unless you don't care about your friend's life or death. Blowing smoke rings, she pulled out a tattered notebook from her satchel and began flipping through it. If what you say is true, then the living human skin has already burrowed into Zhu Meng's body. As she spoke, she casually tossed over a small bottle, which I quickly caught. It was a thumb-sized glass bottle containing tiny pills. Stay by her side and insert one into her ear daily to slow down the consumption. Perhaps there's still a chance. I was startled by what I heard, my hands and feet turning cold. Consumption? How can it be consumed? Master Fang's expression was calm, as if she were accustomed to such matters. This living human skin only wants human skin. Once it eats away the bones and muscles, it can move in. Therefore, I must now take responsibility and rectify my mistakes. Master Fang flipped through the tattered notebook in her hand, showing me a page with an entry about living human skin. This must be the creature. With a cigarette dangling from her lips, she introduced it while looking at the notebook. A long time ago, there was a high-ranking, perverse old eunuch in the palace. She was already very old then. her body covered in wrinkles, but her legs were smooth, fair, and meticulously maintained. As I listened to the story, my expression was difficult to describe. It certainly sounded a bit perverse. Master Fang handed me the notes, and I continued reading from the line I had just seen. It largely recounted one event. An old eunuch named Zishan, due to long-term suppression in the palace, developed a twisted psyche. He enjoyed tormenting and abusing young palace maids to vent his desires. Due to his high status and power, others would send young women to him, and he would often torment them to death without consequence or stirring any trouble. Over time, Zishan grew bored and decided to seek new forms of gratification. He began contemplating how to lure the palace guards. Having been incomplete for most of his life, he naturally resented those who were whole. Thus, his perversion deepened. At night, disguised as a palace maid, he would go to a small pond shaded by trees, pretending to be a maid who had fallen into the water. Being a eunuch, his voice could somewhat pass for a woman's. When a guard passed by, he would feign distress with a pinched voice. He would claim his shoes and socks were wet, so he had taken them off and rolled up his trousers, revealing his bare feet. His legs, being meticulously cared for, appeared alluringly exquisite in the dim night, though not fully visible. Once a young guard was lured closer, he would meet a terrible fate. Eventually, the matter escalated. When the scandal broke, the emperor was actually indifferent to a few lost lives. However, the nature of the incident was utterly repulsive. Didn't this old eunuch use his legs and allure to entice people? Therefore, before being beaten to death, the skin from his legs, which he was so proud of, was flayed off and placed into a box. After the old eunuch died, that piece of skin, imbued with too much malevolent energy, became a malevolent spirit. Perhaps it was the sense of accomplishment from tormenting palace maids that transformed it into a contradiction, both enjoying wearing women's skin and dressing as a woman, yet also harboring perverse desires towards women. However, logically speaking, this living human skin should have been consumed by fish long ago. Master Fang was deep in thought. A light breeze blew past, and as I touched my arm, I felt a whole armful of goosebumps. Master, if I just go back like this, nothing bad will happen, will it? She patted my shoulder reassuringly. That living human skin only eats brains last. For now, Zhu Meng is still Zhu Meng. Master Feng placed my hand on her arm. You just need to remember that living people have bones, and when you squeeze them, they feel hard inside. However, a body consumed by it is filled with living human skin, which feels soft and can even be bent. I nodded cautiously, then quickly tried to feel what a living person was like. With a serious expression, she continued to explain. When the consumption reaches the limbs, it appears no different from normal. As Master Fang spoke, she moved my hand to her abdomen. When the consumption reaches the abdominal cavity, one may lose awareness of eating or experience significant changes in dietary habits and an unstable temperament. As she spoke, she moved my hand further up. When the consumption reaches the chest cavity, consciousness begins to alter, and the living human skin starts to seize partial control of the body's consciousness. Finally, she placed my hand on her neck. When you feel Zhu Meng's neck becoming soft as well, Master Fang suddenly gave a chilling smile. Then you must flee quickly, for any delay will be too late. That evening, I dragged my luggage back to the rented apartment I shared with Zhu Meng. Master Fang instructed me that if I wished to save Zhu Meng and others who wore the bear leg artifact, I must locate the origin of these living human skins. This is because once a person has been parasitized by the living human skin, and its source remains, the skin will continue to grow indefinitely. Only by relying on medication can its consumption rate be slowed. Only by eliminating the true body of the living human skin can the problem be resolved. Was it not just one family that had been disrupted, and they had even moved away? Zhu Meng helped me carry my luggage, her eyes red, as if she had been crying. I looked at her, filled with both fear and heartache. She was now controlled by her obsession, utterly incapable of believing my words. Furthermore, the living human skin was within her, possibly monitoring us at every moment. Zhu Meng absolutely must not know about Master Feng's involvement. By the way, Ninny, did you take my bare leg artifact? Zhu Meng inquired with some surprise. Ever since you left, I haven't been able to find that bare leg artifact of mine. Upon hearing this, a shiver ran through my entire body. I abruptly began to rummage through my suitcase. Carrying such an ominous item was truly terrifying. No, it wasn't there. After searching for a long time, we finally discovered it on Zhu Meng's leg. That thin layer of nude leggings had blended so perfectly with her leg that it was now completely indistinguishable. Zhu Meng touched the nude leggings on her leg, laughing somewhat awkwardly. She noted that it felt exactly like her own skin to the touch. I reached out and touched it, realizing the nude leggings felt much thinner, almost like stockings. Zhu Meng looked at me, muttering to herself. Was it just her imagination? Why had the nude leggings become so thin? I dared not speak, as a horrifying possibility continuously surfaced in my mind. It was because the material, now reduced in thickness, had seemingly burrowed into Zhu Meng's body. Meng, have you lost weight again? Feigning casualness, I grasped her arm and squeezed it from top to bottom. The sensation was incredibly strange. I could distinctly feel that it was soft from the inside out, like squeezing a rolled-up towel. Really? Though recently, my limbs have felt rather numb, and I'm not sure why. Zhu Meng replied with a smile. Her sudden response startled me, and the pressure in my hand increased slightly. I watched as the arm in my hand bent outwards at a grotesque angle. It was an angle a normal person could never achieve. My heart was pounding in my throat. You must be tired. Get some good rest. I managed a stiff smile, then seized the opportunity to feel her ribs. Fortunately, however, everyone's belly is soft to the touch. I could not discern how far the transformation had progressed. By the time I returned to my rented room, it was already late. Little time remained for me to deliberate on how to insert the medicine into Zhu Meng's ear. To be safe, I decided to secretly administer the medicine once Zhu Meng had fallen asleep. At midnight, I was prepared to stay up all night. Unfortunately, Zhu Meng, who habitually enjoyed her beauty sleep, was staying up late tonight. My wife, why did you suddenly start a live stream today? Are the bare leg artifacts finally in stock? In the living room, Zhu Meng set up her phone and unexpectedly began a live stream. Meanwhile, I was curled up on the sofa nearby, silently observing her live stream. I had to ensure she was deeply asleep before I could administer the medicine, so I needed to stay by her side, constantly monitoring her condition. Hello everyone, I'm not sure why, but I feel a bit overexcited today. Zhu Meng, with a radiant smile, greeted her audience in front of the camera. I just want to chat with everyone. Do you have any topics you'd like to discuss? The comments in the live stream began to scroll rapidly. It must be said that ever since the bare leg artifact incident, Zhu Meng had truly become popular. Oh, that's right, I have an idea. As if suddenly remembering something, she stood up and waved me over. Startled, I quickly waved my hands in refusal. However, Zhu Meng pulled and dragged me into the camera's view. Allow me to introduce everyone to my very best friend, Nai Nai. Zhu Meng put her arm around me and showered me with praises before the camera. She praised my intelligence and meticulousness during our internship, recounting how we had spent the past 2 years together. During our toughest times, we shared a single bed, and the old residential area frequently experienced power outages. She recounted how the power once went out midway through my video editing, causing all my work to be lost, and how we cried in each other's arms, illuminating the room with flashlights. By the end of her story, I too was moved, my vision blurring with emotion. Zhu Meng embraced me, showered my face with kisses, and her hands began to roam over my body. Despite my emotion, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Zhu Meng's hands explored everywhere, making me feel a little ticklish. Meng, you. I lifted my head, meeting Zhu Meng's gaze directly. In that instant, every hair on the back of my neck stood on end, for there was not a trace of warmth or emotion on her face. Instead, it held a sinister grin, full of enjoyment, satisfaction, and the triumph of having achieved something. I instantly snapped back to full awareness. It had gnawed its way to the chest cavity, altering consciousness. The living skin was beginning to seize partial control of the body's awareness. The one now controlling this body was no longer entirely Zhu Meng. Suppressing my nausea and fear, I pretended nothing was wrong and quickly retreated into the bedroom. This cannot continue. The medicine must be administered quickly. On the phone screen, Zhu Meng's live broadcast continued. Darlings, I'm going to perform a sizzling striptease for you. On screen, Zhu Meng appeared sensuous and alluring, skillfully swaying her body. Yet my good friend Zhu Meng normally danced as if her limbs were uncoordinated. She was not Zhu Meng now. She removed her clothes rapidly, almost reaching the point where the live broadcast would be shut down. In my distress, I frantically searched for the pill, clutched it in my hand, and rushed out. I could not allow her to control Zhu Meng's body and do as she pleased. Meng, it's time for us to sleep. Even if you don't, I should. I ran to the camera, preparing to end the live broadcast. However, Zhu Meng stopped me. What are you doing? I still want to show everyone my new clothes. I cradled Zhu Meng's head, carefully placing my hands beside her ears. The pill was wedged between the fingers of my right hand. What new clothes? You've nearly taken them all off. I responded distractedly, gently tilting her head, intending to quickly insert the pill with my index finger. Zhu Meng stared at me intently. Haven't you already seen my new clothes? She removed the last of her clothes, revealing a smooth human skin. Look how beautiful and youthful these clothes are. She then laughed shrilly. I shielded her and quickly closed the live broadcast room. But your clothes aren't bad either. Let me wear your skin for a while too. The moment the pill dropped into her ear canal, I felt a coarse piece of skin brush past my hand. I clearly knew it was the face of that old eunuch. After the medicine was administered, Zhu Meng quickly regained her composure and fell peacefully asleep. However, the unsettling, rough sensation on my body persisted for nearly 2 hours. Remembering how that living skin, with the old eunuch's face, had so easily brushed against my skin, I felt a wave of nausea. For safety, I also took a pill. After all, I was in constant close proximity to this living human skin, with even skin contact. Only after Zhu Meng fell asleep did my mission truly begin. Master Fang, I have sent you the vendor's address. While on the phone, my fingers ceaselessly typed, contacting customers who had purchased the bare leg artifact from us, informing them that the product was problematic and required a return for a refund. I explained that we intended to inspect the materials and film a video to generate public interest. The vendor was still somewhat conflicted, but was close to agreeing. I intended to gently persuade them for a few more days. After concluding the call, I once again set up the camera and filmed a video through the night, uploading it to Zhu Meng's account. As the video was finally published, I broke out in a cold sweat. I feared that after this, Zhu Meng and I would no longer be able to remain friends. The following morning, before I had even fully awakened, I was roused by the insistent pounding on the door. Wu Nini, what is the meaning of this? Waking up and clutching my head, I witnessed Zhu Meng burst through the door, tears streaming down her face. Why, Nini, why would you treat me this way? Zhu Meng held up her phone, her hands trembling, to show me the video I had posted just yesterday. My eyes suddenly widened. The impact was even greater than anticipated, achieving an astonishing level of virality. Clicking on the video, I re-watched the content I had uploaded the previous night. I am Wu Nini, Zhu Meng's assistant, and I am making a public, real, name report against Zhu Meng for promoting substandard and inferior bare leg artifacts. Upon examination, the material was found to carry an exceptionally high carcinogenic risk. I urge everyone to promptly discard any bare leg artifacts of this particular brand they may possess. In the video, I had concealed myself beneath multiple layers of clothing, making my face entirely unrecognizable, and my voice had been digitally altered. This was the most effective method I could devise to generate maximum public attention. Zhu Meng stared at me with an expression of profound disbelief. Why, Nini, aren't we supposed to be the best of friends? I lowered my head, secretly pleased, knowing that no one would now be wearing the dangerous living human skin anymore. Moreover, with such widespread dissemination, the vendor, in their haste to vindicate themselves, would very likely agree to our request to inspect the factory. Thus, by uncovering the source of the living human skin, Zhu Meng could be saved. I gazed at Zhu Meng, witnessing her heartbroken demeanor, yet I found myself utterly unable to speak. Because the living human skin resided within her. Meng, you must trust me. I would certainly never intentionally harm you. He shook his head, his eyes brimming with tears. Then tell me, why exactly did you do this? I gazed at him, and suddenly my eyes widened. Subsequently, I carefully picked up a mirror, angling half of it towards Zhu Meng, and casually began to gaze into it myself. Stop talking, or I'll choke you. I'll choke you to death. I cursed viciously, angling the mirror towards Zhu Meng once more. Now was the time to test our tacit understanding. In the mirror, Zhu Meng appeared as a small, faint figure, and extremely vaguely, a floating, wrinkled old face could be seen on his neck. I did not know if Zhu Meng truly understood my hint. I could not tell him what exactly was happening to him. However, if he noticed the human face on his neck in the mirror, he should understand the true purpose of my actions. Wu Nini, you. In the mirror, upon hearing my words, Zhu Meng's eyes widened in shock, his pupils dilating in disbelief. Fine, if that's the case, then I'll consider you no longer my friend. Zhu Meng trembled all over, cursing hoarsely at the top of his lungs. Move out of here, I never want to see you again. With that, he slammed the door in anger, locking himself in his room and never reappearing. I was unsure if he said these things because he had clearly seen the human face on his neck, or simply out of anger at my insults. Now I had more important matters to attend to. What exactly is going on with you all? Why are you posting such nonsense online? The bare leg leggings vendor called. I quickly apologized. The person who caused trouble by posting the video has already been fired. I am truly sorry. Since voice alteration had been used when posting the video earlier, there was no need to worry about being recognized. Everything from our factory is all natural. How could it cause cancer? The vendor was furious, apparently having suffered a significant impact. I immediately seized the opportunity to propose visiting the vendor's factory. As a result, the other party quickly fell silent. You may come, but I must meet the influencer Zhu Meng himself. Furthermore, you cannot just film haphazardly. I quickly agreed. However, the merchant still seemed somewhat uneasy. Moreover, she must wear the factory's bare leg artifact so that netizens can be reassured. After the call ended, I promptly contacted Master Fang. Master Fang drove me directly to the merchant's factory. He insisted that Zhu Meng herself attend. Could such a deception succeed? Sitting in the car's backseat, I frantically applied purple and red eyeshadow to my face. Rest assured, no one knows Zhu Meng better than I do. He glanced at the rearview mirror and tossed a bottle of medicine over. I took the medicine and quickly inserted a pill into my ear. Then, I took off my outer pants and, over several layers of sturdy leggings, began to put on the bare leg artifact. Master Feng chuckled quietly in the front seat. I looked at him through the mirror, smiling helplessly. I am not so naive as to wear them truly bare-legged. Before getting out of the car, I picked up a bandage nearby and wrapped it around my face in circles. It is quite common for a prominent influencer, once financially successful, to undergo cosmetic surgery, is it not? Soon, we arrived at the merchant's factory. The factory was situated in a very remote location, backed by a large mountain with waist-high wild grass outside its gate. What happened to your face? Outside the factory gate, a portly middle-aged man stared at me in disbelief. Master Fang quickly explained. Zhu Meng had just undergone plastic surgery 2 days ago, but upon learning of the factory's trouble, she immediately rushed over. I now had to portray Zhu Meng after her plastic surgery, with my face tightly bandaged, allowing my voice to be slightly muffled, which would conveniently mask my actual voice. If you don't believe me, I can unwrap it for you to see. With that, I pretended to remove the bandage. The man immediately turned his head away and waved his hands frantically. After confirming that I was indeed wearing their factory's bare leg artifact on my legs, Master Fang and I successfully entered the factory. Furthermore, I held a camera and began filming. You see, it's all just rumors. We are all completely natural. The merchant walked ahead, speaking with evident resentment. Upon entering the factory, a heavy, fishy stench immediately assailed our nostrils. This putrid and foul odor was even more intense than that of a summer fish market. I subtly held my breath, surveying the factory surroundings. The factory was not large. One could see its entirety at a glance, and its hygienic conditions were equally concerning. Looking around, several conveyor belts were visible, transporting 2 palm-sized pieces of flesh, colored skin, clearly of an unknown origin. Workers in blue uniforms used machines to shred these pieces before depositing them into industrial vats. Finally, the resulting thick, hot, skin-toned liquid was poured onto flesh-colored stockings. Master, what kind of animal skin is this? I clung to Master Fang, glancing left and right, and cautiously whispered my question. He did not reply. Instead, he turned and very loudly questioned the merchant. Boss, what kind of skin are we using here? After asking, he subtly gave me a thumbs up. The merchant's expression was rather displeased, and his gaze seemed somewhat evasive. You've seen all there is to see. The rest is commercial secret. Can you leave now? Master Fang smiled coldly, yet persisted with his inquiries. If you don't tell us, we won't know how to clarify. The merchant hesitated for a moment, vaguely mentioning fish skin, before ushering us out of the factory. In the car, I observed Master Fang, who was driving calmly, and found myself utterly perplexed. Are we just leaving like this? Was that really fish skin? Master Fang showed no expression, stating calmly, It's fish skin of sorts, but it cannot see the light of day. Pondering the skins in the factory, with their particular size and dimensions, I wondered what they could possibly be. After much thought, I couldn't shake the feeling that they resembled infant skin. Master Fang offered no response. Instead, he remarked in a surprisingly cheerful tone, "Let's get some dinner, and we'll return tonight." Around 10 in the evening, Master Fang and I returned to the factory. He led me to the back door, where he easily pried open the lock, granting us remarkably simple entry. "Master, won't we be arrested for doing this?" In the dark corridor, I followed behind him, asking timidly, "Strictly speaking, as long as it's not discovered, it won't be an issue." Master Fang replied with utmost seriousness. I wanted to speak but hesitated. The factory was very dark, illuminated only by the flashlights on our phones. I followed Master Fang as he smoothly led me to a mysterious passage. He then knocked on a large door. Found it, the living creatures for these materials should be kept inside. I was both surprised and delighted. How did we find it so easily? Master Fang took out his toolkit and once again skillfully picked the lock. Anyone daring to keep so many living evil spirits without understanding Feng Shui wouldn't have survived until now. He actually found the secret room's location just by calculating Feng Shui. In less than a minute, he successfully picked the lock. However, he pushed the door open, stepped inside for a second, and then swiftly retreated. Master Fang gasped, looking at me. "Prepare yourself mentally before going in." I nodded solemnly, followed him, held my breath and cautiously stepped inside, one step at a time. What kind of thing could possibly scare the well-traveled Master Fang? The dark, cramped room was filled with a stale stench and a pungent, overpowering fishy smell. The moment the light hit the walls, I nearly jumped in fright. Quite a sight, isn't it? Master Fang crossed his arms, speaking with a hint of amusement. I widened my eyes and carefully examined everything before me with the flashlight's beam. The room was surrounded by 4 enormous fish tanks. Inside, the water was murky, and schools of dark fish swam about. However, in each fish tank, a stretched-out piece of human skin could be clearly seen floating. Around the human skin were some floating flesh-colored thread-like objects as thick as hemp ropes. Left foot, calf, knee, thigh. Master Fang shone his flashlight around, observing. Face to face, I was so scared my vision blurred, and I quickly grabbed Master Fang, trembling. This is the old eunuch from inside Zhu Meng." Master Fang looked thoughtful, searched around, and then turned on the room's lights. We could finally see what was inside the fish tank. The dense swarm of fish in the tank made me feel truly nauseous. Fish babies. Seeing food for the first time. Master Fang approached with keen interest. "Can you imagine what could result from a combination of fish, babies, and old people?" Beside the floating human skin in the center of the fish tank, countless thick, fleshy tendrils, similar to umbilical cords, were visible. The other ends of these fleshy tendrils were connected to numerous fish, babies. They were flesh-colored creatures resembling tadpoles, specifically those kind of tadpoles that have grown 4 limbs, existing somewhere between a frog and a tadpole. However, their limbs were the arms and legs of human infants, complete with distinct palms and soles. Their tails were webbed structures covered with human skin. Even more disturbingly, the heads of these fish babies were shaped more like fish heads, yet their facial features were human, resembling the old face of the eunuch Zai Shan. This dense swarm of fish babies floated in the fish tank that surrounded us. I truly felt that not instantly fainting was already a testament to my courage. Master Fang, on the other hand, seemed quite pleased. Can you imagine? This old eunuch's living human skin had actually begun to delve into the study of childbirth. As I gazed at these intertwined fleshy umbilical cords, my hands and feet grew cold. Zai Shun's suppressed and twisted desires had, it seemed, successfully transferred to the living human skin. A complete body, the ability to reproduce, though he likely never imagined that these children of his would be made into bare leg artifacts and sold nationwide. These strange things were, quite surprisingly, appreciated by some. Master Fang frantically photographed the fish tank, even pulling me into a close photo with the fish babies as a memento. Afterward, he placed the items he had brought into the fish tank, destroying these living human skins and fish babies. Before leaving, we also destroyed the household protective ornaments inside the room. Although the living human skin had been destroyed, the lingering evil influence would be enough to cause trouble for the merchants. Master Fang was in high spirits when he drove me downstairs. Your friend Zhu Meng should be fine now. The fish babies were powered by the living human skin of their mother, carrying malevolent energy and resentment. The merchants used the skin of the fish babies, essentially the living human skin on their bodies, to create the bare leg artifacts. If their mother living human skin was destroyed, all corresponding bare leg artifacts would lose their power. The bare leg artifacts would then rot and decay just like normal flesh. At the same time, destroying the primary living skin would also cure those indirectly infected through contact. Essentially, this primary living skin was the source of all infected individuals. However, there was only half of the skin in the fish tank. Master Fang smoked leisurely, his expression one of profound enjoyment. The other half of the skin's whereabouts remained unknown. I felt a degree of apprehension, which only slightly subsided when Zhu Meng opened the door for me after I knocked. She angrily asked if I still knew how to come back, remarking that she had thought I truly ran away from home. Zhu Meng furiously pulled at me, scolding me for threatening to strangle him. Just as I was about to enter the house, the phone in my pocket rang. The caller ID displayed Master Fang. Concurrently, a text message popped up on my phone. The message urged, "Answer the call quickly, urgent." I answered the call at the doorway. Inside the room, Zhu Meng watched me with surprise. Over the phone, Master Fang's voice was no longer calm. It was tinged with urgency. It then occurred to me that Zhu Meng's situation presented another possibility. If the material for his bare leg artifact was not the skin of a fish baby, but instead the vanished other half of the living skin, then you are currently in great danger. Bare leg artifacts made from fish baby skin could be dealt with by destroying their primary living skin. We had just destroyed the left half of the living skin. If the bare leg artifact on Zhu Meng was made from the other half of the living skin, then at this very moment, not only would the living skin on him be completely unaffected, but it would have already consumed him to an alarming degree. I looked at the vibrant Zhu Meng before me, feeling a sense of hesitation. My gaze then swept to the necklace around his neck. "Meng, your necklace is a bit crooked," I said. As I spoke, I reached out to touch his neck, taking the opportunity to squeeze it lightly. There was a very distinct sensation of bone. Fortunately, the situation had not escalated to the worst possible outcome. At the very least, Zhu Meng had not yet been consumed up to his cervical spine, still retaining some degree of rationality. I followed Zhu Meng into the house and quickly sent a message to Master Fang. I asked, you said that if Zhu Meng's neck felt soft to the touch, something terrible would happen. What would that be? A few seconds later, a reply promptly appeared. Zhu Meng completely died, becoming a vessel for the living skin, and then exploded. The fragmented skin fragments were highly dangerous. Upon contact, one would be rapidly parasitized. My brows furrowed deeply as I tremblingly typed the next line. If Zhu Meng harbored the other half of the living skin, could he still be saved? This time, the reply was significantly slower than before. The reply stated, "I apologize, perhaps. Please allow me time to consult my resources. I can make an attempt." Upon reading the message, a chilling sensation enveloped me. I looked up to see Zhu Meng's face filled with surprise, and I began to reassure myself inwardly. Even Master Fang had stated it was merely a conjecture. Perhaps Zhu Meng had, by now, made a complete recovery. Zhu Meng and I were seated upon the sofa. "Why do you appear so preoccupied?" Clenching the medicine bottle within my pocket, I felt somewhat distracted. The moment had arrived to validate this conjecture. Of paramount importance was to ascertain whether Zhu Meng's ribs remained firm, or had already dissolved into the living skin. During the previous live broadcast, I had confirmed that the living skin had consumed matter up to his ribs. Should his ribs still be present, it would signify his complete recovery. Conversely, if the ribs had vanished, it would substantiate that the other half of the living skin had parasitized his body. I was contemplating a method to subtly and naturally reach for the area of his ribs. However, Zhu Meng abruptly grasped my hand and guided it towards his chest. It was firm, the unmistakable sensation of bone. "Meng, Meng," I exclaimed, a wave of emotion overcoming me as my troubled heart finally found solace. Subsequently, I extended my hand and thoroughly examined every bone throughout his body. All were still present, confirming that Zhu Meng had now made a full recovery. "Meng, Meng, do you comprehend? You nearly frightened me to death." I embraced him tightly, weeping profusely, and recounted incoherently all that had transpired in recent days. Zhu Meng gently stroked my back, listening in silence. I found it arduous to conceive of the emotional state I would be in, should Zhu Meng genuinely suffer misfortune. I had even contemplated, on a previous occasion, that even if Zhu Meng were consumed up to his neck, as long as a vestige of his sanity remained, I could not possibly abandon him to save myself, for Zhu Meng was my most cherished and steadfast companion. It was imperative that I rescue him. Regardless of the perils encountered, I was resolute in my determination to save him. I firmly believed that, were our circumstances reversed, Zhu Meng would undoubtedly act in the same manner, because we were each other's very best friends. "So that's how it was. You've had a difficult time these past few days." It was not until I had recounted all that had transpired in recent days that Zhu Meng replied, his tone understated. For some reason, as I listened to his reply, a creeping sense of unease settled over me. I rose to my feet, quietly fixating my gaze upon him. He looked at me, and his expression suddenly twitched. He abruptly forced a sentence through gritted teeth. You go see my grandfather. He says he misses you." My eyes widened, and I felt my pupils tremble uncontrollably. I looked at him, stammering slightly as I replied, "No, let's go together tomorrow." Zhu Meng's brow furrowed, and he seemed poised to speak further. Suddenly, his arm moved with an unnervingly stiff motion to touch his brow. Swiftly, Zhu Meng's demeanor returned to its former state. "All right, tomorrow we'll go see Grandpa together. He hasn't seen you in a long time and truly misses you." A profound bitterness settled in my heart, and I could only nod and utter a faint "all right." Clenching my fists tightly, I watched as Zhu Meng entered his bedroom. Only then did I finally release a breath, opening my hand to find it drenched in cold sweat. The situation was far from optimistic. Zhu Meng and I shared a secret signal. Several years prior, numerous stalking incidents had occurred, leading to a trend of establishing a secret code known only between two friends. This way, should danger arise and an assailant demand a reassuring message, we could use the secret code to convey the peril without alerting the perpetrator. Zhu Meng's secret code was, "I'm going to see Grandpa." This was because his grandfather had passed away many years ago. Such an event was utterly impossible. Yet he said, "Ninny, go see my grandfather. He says he misses you. In reality, he was telling me, Ninny, there's danger, run quickly. I promptly reported the situation to Master Fang. We had overlooked a crucial fact. Because we implicitly assumed that skin would always be soft. The mistake today was that the living skin discovered our probing, and so it firmly coiled itself several layers deep within Zhu Meng's body. Consequently, when touched, it no longer felt like a soft towel roll. Master Fang himself was also overwhelmed and in a state of great distress. Due to the changing times, the cases of living skin parasitism recorded by his ancestors, where individuals were infested by a host, typically involved burning them alive to prevent them from self-destructing and affecting more people. I am currently searching for a solution, but success is not guaranteed, Master Fang advised. In any case, it is imperative to prioritize your own protection and not harbor excessive expectations. Unsure of what to do, I walked to the bathroom in a state of confusion. I washed my face, and amidst my bewilderment, I suddenly detected a strange odor. It was reminiscent of gasoline. The apartment Zhu Meng and I rented had a large bathtub, but because it was troublesome to clean after use, we always opted for the shower, and it usually remained hidden behind the shower curtain, unnoticed by anyone. Following the scent, I pulled back the shower curtain and indeed found something in the bathtub. It was a bath towel soaked in gasoline. Wrapped inside it was half of a severed charging cable. This might be a clue Zhu Meng left for me while the living skin was not in control of her body. Does the living skin lack a sense of smell? If it couldn't detect such a pungent gasoline smell, it would indeed be very difficult to discover this towel. What then could this half of a charging cable signify? I stood helplessly before the mirror, gazing at my bewildered reflection. As I pondered intensely, I unexpectedly caught sight of an astonishing image in the mirror. In the mirror, an ancient human face, skin emerged from my exposed neck. The skin, like a wriggling snail, crawled across my skin before calmly receding back into my collar. In that instant, my hair stood on end, and my entire body went numb. I was also infested. At 2 a.m., after much deliberation, I decided to go to Zhu Meng's bedroom and insert medication into her ears to slow down the infestation. Simultaneously, I donned a small towel soaked in gasoline. Naturally, I dared not turn on the light, and it was quite by chance that I stumbled upon an astonishing sight. How beautiful, truly magnificent! Before the dressing table, Zhu Meng sat motionless. A large opening had appeared on her back, from which an old face, skin, connected to several intertwined strips of skin, was emerging, like a vine growing out of a rag doll. The old skin adhered to Zhu Meng's face. Zhu Meng tilted her head slightly, her eyes vacant, holding a makeup brush, continuously applying makeup to herself. Under the dim, faint light, the living skin hummed a strange, babbling tune in an eerie voice. A beauty grooms herself, gazing into the mirror, awaiting clarity. Tap, tap. She clung to Zhu Meng's face, as if admiring an exotic beauty, yet also admiring herself, her expression utterly entranced. Clutching the towel, I knew the medicine certainly couldn't be applied, and it was time for me to leave. At the same time, one thing became clear. This living skin truly could not detect scents. Otherwise, with such a strong smell of gasoline, she would have long since noticed something outside the door. I held the towel, intending to leave, but a strange feeling persisted. The gasoline smell was strong, but why did the scent inside the room feel even heavier than outside? Peeking through the door crack, I watched as the living skin finished its grooming, slipped back into Zhu Meng's body, and then contentedly lay back on the bed. With a click, the bedroom suddenly lit up. On Zhu Meng's bed, a blazing inferno suddenly ignited. An androgynous voice shrieked, The living skin emerged from Zhu Meng's body, but the flames eagerly climbed along her skin, burning fiercely. I was utterly stunned. Zhu Meng's bedding had been drenched in gasoline. Unsure what to do, I rushed into the bathroom, filled a basin with water, then kicked open Zhu Meng's bedroom door. Holding the water, I stood before the flames. The firelight danced in my eyes. The scorching heat of the blazing inferno was intense. Zhu Meng's body was already somewhat charred and twisted. The living skin's old face was burned into a grotesque grimace. She was flung far back, screaming hoarsely, "Save me, quickly, save me, save Zhu Meng. You don't want her to die either." Water, water. I stood with the basin of water. Helplessly, I stumbled back a few steps. Amidst the flames, I clearly saw Zhu Meng on the bed. That once perfectly round head, the one she always proudly told me her mother had shaped into a flawless sphere at the back, now resembled a deflated beer. Flattened in the flames, even the skin of her face seemed to melt and recede. Zhu Meng was truly gone. Zhu Meng, can you hear me? My mind was in utter chaos. All I could feel were tears silently streaming down. The flames intensified, and I ceaselessly called out Zhu Meng's name. Yet I knew no reply would come. Ultimately, disregarding the living skin's desperate pleas, I doused myself with the basin of water I held and exited the house. Master Fang and I arranged to visit Zhu Meng's grave to pay our respects. Master Fang brought fresh flowers, whereas I arrived with 20 skewers of spicy street food, a plate of spicy crawfish, and an entire durian. Master Fang gently placed the flowers before Zhu Meng's tombstone and softly spoke. "Rest assured, the living skin that afflicted Wu Ningning has vanished. She is well now." I remained silent, merely arranging the food I had brought before the grave. These were all Zhu Meng's most beloved foods. The fire itself was not extensive. The flames did not spread widely. This was due to Zhu Meng's prior preparations. He had placed substantial quantities of water in every corner of the bedroom. Furthermore, as gasoline was confined solely to the bedding, only Zhu Meng and the living skin suffered severe burns. Regarding the inexplicable and bizarre disappearance, Master Fang aided the police in piecing together the full narrative. Details of this case were selectively released to the public. Police investigations concluded that Zhu Meng's death was a suicide. On the afternoon of the fire, he had ventured out to procure gasoline. The ignition source was a severed charging cable. That evening, Zhu Meng lay amidst the gasoline, soaked bedding, and activated the power switch on the bedside eye socket extension. Subsequently, electrical sparks from the broken charging cable, positioned on his back, ignited the volatile mixture of air and gasoline, thereby initiating the blaze. Notably, alongside the mobile phone charging cable, a humidifier was also connected to the power strip. It is difficult to conceive that, ultimately, it was the humidifier that eliminated the living skin. Master Fang stood by the grave, smoking, as white plumes of smoke dissipated into the wind. Neither Master Fang nor I truly comprehended what Zhu Meng had endured during those preceding days. Nor was it clear when he became aware of his parasitic affliction. However, during the days Master Fang and I spent investigating, Zhu Meng, acting alone, had gleaned critical insights. He learned that the living skin possessed no sense of smell. He discerned precisely when it controlled his body versus when he himself retained agency. He sought an opportune moment to secretly acquire gasoline and douse his bedding. He conveyed information to me via a towel in the bathtub and a severed charging cable, and he had meticulously observed the living skin's profound attachment to its host and its nocturnal habit of activating the humidifier. Finally, it worked hard to tell me, "Ninny, go find my grandpa. He says he misses you," making me leave the rented room to wait for the living skin at night to turn on the humidifier itself. thus completing the entire self-immolation plan to kill the living skin. Meng Meng, I'm truly impressed, you're so clever. I squatted before his tombstone, praising him with my usual exaggerated flair. Only now, I could no longer see his smug expression. Master Fang remained silent, simply standing behind me, lighting a cigarette and watching me, observing me speak with such vigor. Master Fang didn't drive today. We took a taxi. On the way home, we both sat in the back seat. Wu Ningning, there's something I've always wanted to tell you. He pulled his black jacket tighter and looked out the window. That night, while sifting through documents at home, I found an account from an individual who had been parasitized by a living skin. According to the individual, during the parasitization, one could communicate with the living skin to a limited extent. I looked at Master Fang, feeling somewhat bewildered. So, what? He kept his head turned towards the window, unwilling to look back at me. There's some other information too. Typically, a living skin brings its host to a densely populated area, and only then does it devour the host's brain to complete its self-detonation and disintegration. I vaguely understood something, and a bitter feeling welled up in my heart. At the time, in the fire, Zhu Meng's brain and skull were already gone. I looked at Master Fang. Was it because he defied the living skin's will to convey information to me? Master Fang shook his head. I don't know. It could also be that he was afraid you'd cause trouble in the fire and insist on saving him. After saying this, neither of us spoke for a long time. Just before getting out of the car, Master Fang suddenly began to gaze at me. Wu Nini, have you ever wondered why, after we dealt with the maternal living skin in the factory, you still found the old eunuch's face on yourself? His gaze was firm, but his voice suggested he was uneasy about what he was saying. Have you ever considered that after Zhu Meng's self-immolation, the living skin parasitizing you suddenly healed itself? As I listened to his words, my eyes widened, bit by bit, bit by bit. Master Fang slightly lowered his gaze. He seemed about to say more, but his destination had already arrived. Master Fang opened the car door, got out and closed the door. The winter wind was still very cold, biting fiercely. I watched him outside the car window, his collar flapping, his long hair swaying in the wind. The car was about to start when Master Fang suddenly turned to the window. His expression exaggerated and loudly said something. What did you say? I can't hear you. The car drove away. Subsequently, I never asked him what he had truly said that day. However, I had a rough guess in my heart. Perhaps we were both thinking of the same thing. At the time, in my self-proclaimed cleverness, I tilted the mirror, wanting to tell Zhu Meng what I believed was his shock at seeing the human face on his neck. But there was another possibility. Zhu Meng, who had long known he was parasitized by the living human skin, saw something on my face. Perhaps, through his conversations with the living human skin, he learned about the concepts of the living human skin's parent body and its offspring. He understood that the living human skin on me was influenced by him, and the only way to save me was to eliminate the parent living human skin on his body. Therefore, he bravely faced death. All of this remains unverified, entirely conjecture from Master Fang and myself. However, I knew clearly that this was indeed the truth. Because Zhu Meng was my very best friend, he knew I would definitely save him. No matter what danger I faced, I would undoubtedly rescue him. I knew that if our situations were reversed, Zhu Meng would do the same, because we were each other's very best friends.